For 1 year, I woke up every single day, went to work faithfully, but I never got paid. I depleted my savings, I lost my house, I got into debt, and I struggled to afford my own medication. But somehow, this became one of the most transformative years in my life. Welcome to Beautifully Scarred Podcast, where we share about our scars and how our scars become our stories, our healing. We talk about real scars, real stories, and real healing. Now, if this is the very first time you're actually seeing my pretty face on your feed, let me give you a backdrop of basically the story I'm going to share with you, with the hope that you're going to find it very transformative. Nonetheless, I must add that before we get onto this journey, I would love you if you could like this video, subscribe on the subscription button below, and I would also love to hear from you, your feedback, okay? And I hope you enjoy this ride with me. Now, so like I promised, this is the context of why it was such a struggle. So here, please watch this. By the way, that's the time I thought I was gonna die, and I didn't. But by the grace of God, during that time, I was admitted on 25th December afternoon on 2007. Get it undone. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I get and I start dialysis. The first session is 2 hours, and I cried all through. But from 85, I think I went to like 82 kilos, and I did dialysis for about for all that time, actually, December to December 2018. I did dialysis. That was my life then. So now, there's so much that goes on with dialysis. Your diet changes, your skin changes. I became very dark. The blood pressure messes with your eyesight, so I was somewhat partially blind. Now that you have this backdrop information about me, I hope every single thing will fall into place just to see why perhaps I felt, or rather I went through an extra difficult time. By the way, this is going to be a 3-part series, and you do not want to miss any of them, especially part 3, just to see how then did I get myself off the space, and did I really get myself off it? Anywho, so let's start from the beginning and buckle up because it is story time, okay? So, this is basically what happened. For my undergraduate, I studied a Bachelor of Education, French and History. And shortly after, I got a job and I started teaching, okay? Now, as I started teaching, of course, there's the excitement. You're out of uni, you've gotten a job and all this. But remember, at some point, there's a way when you do something again and again and again, I think at some point you start to feel like you need a change or you need to do better. Or is it just me alone? Is it? You as well, I hope, yeah? So that was the case. So I got my first job when I was sick, from what you have seen. And what happened is that my employer was so gracious. So I worked there up to 3 years, and then COVID happened. Now, when COVID happened, many of us lost our jobs, or rather we were sent on unpaid leave for a very long time, and then eventually it wasn't just working. So I got a leap of faith, and then I applied a job in another institution, and then I got. Now, so this is what happened. Having come from the background where I've just shown you, or rather I've told you, is that I told myself, I'm coming to this new school, and God, it is my desire that I do not pass 2 years. And when I was given this work contract, it was exactly 2 years. So I went, it was of course a new challenge and all that, and I love me a good challenge. So I kept showing up, and of course I had some sort of a period of time where I really had a hard time transitioning. Why? I was coming from a school where students really valued education, and it wasn't about pushing someone to actually be the best versions of them that they can be. Students were self-driven. But now I'm going to a private institution where there's a lot of pushing, and it feels like I value education more than the people I was teaching. You get? But this is what my dad told me, that as a teacher, the first thing you say or whatever you set as your precedence will stay. So you can either present yourself as a joke or not. And that's what exactly I did, although I had a really hard time. So at some point, I really started to enjoy my job, enjoy the girls. I was teaching in a girls' school and all that. But then, a year down this journey, I started doing my master's. So I did my master's. I was working at the same time I was a student. And at some point it got so overwhelming because mixing studies and work, responsibilities, it's a lot. It can take a toll on you, especially your mental health. You get? So now what happened is that I started feeling as well that I need a change. I need a change. But then there's that part of the reality. If I'm living here, where to? You cannot just up and leave. At least there's a certain space where you have to sit with your thoughts and actually, do a plan. You get? Yeah. So that is what I did, but nothing was working. I tried to apply for other jobs I was going, and the offers I was getting, they were not really what I really wanted. So guess what? So this evening I'm leaving class and then I'm going back to my house. So this is about 10 p.m. I went to work up to 5 p.m. or rather left a bit for 30 something and then went to school because our classes were starting at 5 and then our classes would take 3 hours. So they were ending at 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8. But then sometimes I would stay in town for a while. I live in Nairobi, by the way, if you're watching this and you have no idea. So I would leave town and then go to now the place where I stay. But I did stay behind for a couple of times because I think it was during a period when we were doing exams. Yeah. So now I get a call from a parent and she tells me, okay, after she introduced herself, that's when I knew it was a parent of a former student that I had taught, yeah? And so she goes, is your name Stella? And I'm like, yeah. So I have a job offer in Nini, and now we have these conversations that eventually now I get to know exactly what happens. So she recommends me for a job. A job I knew I definitely did not qualify. But the most important thing is that one needed to be able to speak French and two, to be a good communicator. And I believe that if you're a teacher, there's almost nothing you can't do if you're courageous enough, or rather you believe yourself. And then I also usually say that as long as I try something, and even if I fail, the failure is not going to write itself on my back. So I can as well as try. So she preps me. She's very kind enough. She preps me. And the following day I show up. But this is the caveat. She told me that I ought to be dressed in a certain way because the role I was going to apply for meant that I was going to represent the family, also aesthetically. Now, do not try what I'm about to say, but this is what I did. I did, quote unquote, the opposite. Why? In my spirit, I was like, if I get this job, I want to get it because I'm smart upstairs and not because I'm smart because of the way I have adorned myself. Because not every shiny thing is useful. And I did not want to be taken as shiny and incompetent. So I didn't dress extravagantly the way she had prescribed, but I did tone down, just modest, smart, but modest, you get. So I got there, the interview begins, and eventually I'm taken for a senior role than the one I had gone to. That's how God works. And I remember my boss then said that he almost did not pick me because it felt like I did not know how to dress. But this is a conversation we had later, because I was like, I did dress down purposefully because I wanted you to see me for who I am and not just from the outside perspective. You get? So I get the job. I'm very excited. It has absolutely everything I've been dreaming of. A fat paycheck. I get to travel a lot, meet very senior people, the dignitaries and all this. And I'm like, finally, the Lord has had me. Bro, I was yet to face something that I did not see coming. You know. So I go back to the house and I'm very excited. I tell God, thank you. In fact, I even teared. Like I cried a bit-ish on the mat on my way back home, matatu. And I was like, God, you're faithful. God, you're gracious, you know. Ha!
Oh my God!
Well, right now that I look at it at hindsight, oh, girl was about to go through a lot. So, can you imagine that after being given a yes, 1 whole year passed without me getting any feedback? So I was like, God, I thought your hand was in this. I thought that we are actually getting somewhere. I thought that this is actually your doing. What do you mean? There's no confirmation, there's no communication. And you see, when this is happening, there's a way you kind of check out, even without really wanting or... Yeah, but then, so it was 1 month, 2 months, 3, 4. The next thing, we are heading to a year. And then I was like, you know what? It's fine. At least I still have a job. So I had to like remove myself off that situation and accept. I mean, at least I tried. At least someone found me useful. Someone found me, you know, for something that I did not qualify for. You get it? So I make peace in my heart and I continue living my life. But I remember, because I had gone through this alone, we do have a fellowship with my nuclear family on every 31st of the year. So there you share about your struggles, your failures and all this. And I remember sharing with my family. And I just prayed and I said that I pray that the disappointment gets out and also the bitterness and the anger you get. And I left it like that. So I went back to work, continued working, and everything else was just flowing. Gave everything I had to my girls. But then now, the second year is coming towards an end. And things are also happening in my job area. And I feel like I really need to leave. I really need to leave because I feel like I am extending my season here. So I am a believer in the Lord. And when that happens is that at some certain point, you know that you do not just wake up and make a decision. You inquire with the Lord so that it is my will versus his. But you know that if I pursue my will, in most cases, I'm going to have a lot of a hard time, like Jonah in the belly of the fish, because that was unnecessary. Capiche? So yeah, so now I'm in this season where I'm asking God, what should I do? What should I do? And then things at work, it just feels like favor is kind of running out. I am hating, like I wake up and I hate going to work. Can I actually tell you that I had seasons whereby I remember there was a day I woke up and my body could not move at all. Like I was trying to move my hands and they were a bit heavy. And my feet were not moving. It was some sort of paralysis. And I called in work sick, but I wasn't really sick. My body was tired. It was tired. But sometimes when you work in private institutions, I think the workload can be a lot, or rather the pressure can be a lot, and you put that pressure on you and sometimes it gets overwhelming. Later, it's when I actually realized that I think I had bouts of depression at some point because I would just weep. I would have palpitations. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night. I would just jot and I was so scared and I didn't even understand what was going on. Yeah. So this was happening, and at some point I was like, you know what? I am done. I am done. I am done. I am tired, God. But if I leave, where do I go to? So now fast forward, we come to 2023, and then I got this job in November 2021. So now we are going to 2023. My contract is supposed to end at February 2023, and I do not want to renew it. So, I'm in this season where I'm trying to make the decision whether to leave or not, like I said. And at the same time, it found that I was in the space where I was studying the book of Psalms. And during all that period, the Bible was telling me, trust, 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 trust. And I was like, well, there's trust and there's also stupidity. What if I'm being stupid? And you know, there's the reading of the Bible in the lenses of the Holy Spirit, the way God determined it to be, which is called exegesis. And there's the reading, or rather the studying of the Bible through your own lenses. And most of the times it is through the lenses of the things you're going through. So what happens? You interpret the Bible according to how you feel or how you want the Bible to speak to you, not exactly the way the Holy Spirit intended it to be. So I was asking myself, what is it that if that is what I am doing? What if I am making my season come to an end, yet it is not yet supposed to come to an end? You get? So now we are doing this hula baloo. We are here, there. So it is January. I have cleared the syllabus with the girls, both the Form 4 syllabus and the Form 3 syllabus. And Form 2 and 1, we are getting there. So this means they've just started Form 4, but I've already completed the syllabus. Because I feel like it's easier when you finish on time and then you have longer periods of revision before the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examinations come way in November. You get? So now, I am prepared. I want to leave, but I am scared. And then, let me say this, and sometimes, or rather not sometimes, it's good to be in a space where you have friends who share the same faith with you. Because you will need to hear God's voice sometimes through other people, or you'll need people to help you pray. So I prayed, but I needed just someone else to help me. And I remember I consulted my mom, not really consulted, but I kind of said it because I did not want someone to talk me out of a decision that I felt that the Lord was leading me to do and trust Him. And then I let another voice speak me out of it. My mistake was this, I shared with my mom. Not because my mom is not wise, but because my mom is my mother. See, there is no sane mother who will want their children, or rather their child, to go through a hard time. So we were like, wait, don't say you're gonna resign, because if you say you resign, most of these people are gonna withhold, your salary and all that. And I was telling her, well, my contract is coming to an end, so I'm not really tied to a contract. So I want that it comes to an end and I'm also just finishing, and that's it. So I have to finish up to the end, and it was coming towards, it was the last week of March 2023. And so I'm like, let it just end so that I do not renew the contract and they pay me, and I go. And let me tell you this, there are so many opportunities priorly I had let go. Why? Because of my girls. Every time I chose my girls before me, against career progression and all these things. But this time I was like, for once, let me prioritize myself. So now, fear now kicks in. And I'm like, by the way, if they choose to withhold my salary, what am I gonna do? I have no plan and all these things. And so fear. Now we are on the last week of March. I have not put a resignation letter. I've not told my girls I'm gonna leave. And I want to leave. Like, I can no longer stay. It was that bad. Physically, I had checked out. Emotionally, I had checked out. Everything I had checked out. I was basically there and just forcing myself to exist. So now, what did I do? What did I do? I went back home and I'm thinking, okay, this is the day. So I write a letter to resign. It's on a Tuesday. And then I go and I tell the madam, the principal, that, you know what, I'm working up to the end of the month and I'm gone. And she's like, Stella, but the end of the month is 31st, which is on Friday. And you want to mean that you're leaving and that's it? And I said, yeah, I'm leaving. But I've completed the syllabus. The first term was coming to an end. It was about 2 weeks into April and that's it. So I was not going to leave my girls unattended, fully unattended. And I was tired. And she asked me, do you have another offer? No. What are you going to do? Just focus on the studies and find myself. Now, let me tell you, God is a respecter of no man. There are things God will give you that you actually do not deserve. But according to Him, you deserve. Guess what? Do you know that the job that I got 1 year before, the one that I told you that I did not deserve or qualify, I got an email, an offer letter, and I'm told, Stella, can you report in April? And I'm like, oh my days. What do you mean? God has remembered me. And I'm like, okay, at least I'm leaving, but now I have somewhere to go. And I'm like, yeah, of course, this is from the Lord. This is from the Lord. I was doubting you, but we've got this. So, of course, 31st comes, I gather my things, and I tell adios to my children. And, of course, it wasn't a good sight. A lot of them cried. I caused a mayhem. Let me tell you, if you love someone, let them know. Don't let them leave so that you now let them know how much you love them. That is mean. It's mean. I got parents call me even way later after I've come. Miss Waga, what have you done to my child? I've never seen my child cry before. And by the way, I'm not blowing my horn. This is something that happened. And if I'm lying, and if you're my student and I've taught you before, please call me out. You're free, call me out. So I get, and now I'm saying that at least, Waga has this sorted out. So I leave, I envision my life living from a suitcase, catching planes, meeting dignitaries, saying, bonjour, je m'appelle Stella, you know, and I continue, and capiche? So I finish, I leave, I set my house in order. April reaches, 4th of April, I go to work. I start, of course, it's a whole new thing. This is corporate. I've not done corporate before. The work is really good because I do not have to go as early as I used to. And my teaching job, I was reporting at work at 6:30 a.m., but we were leaving at 3:30 p.m., so that's fine. So this one, at least I can get there at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and then up to 5, depending on the workload of the day. And I started being exposed to the parts of life that, you know, I just see other people do, and I'm like, Waga, we are doing this. The Lord has remembered you. We are doing this. So we finish. FYI, my principal, the former principal, chose to withhold my salary. So I left unpaid. Words were exchanged, but wisdom calls it that do not bite a hand that fed you, even though I know that God is the one who gave me the opportunity, but through them. And I am a believer that I can always make money. As long as I have good health, I can always make money. And sometimes you just count your losses and move on. And I remember when we were, the exchange was a bit heated, and she told me, Waga, you're a believer. Believers are not supposed to be doing this. Bosses or believers and non-believers out there, Do not use someone's faith as a card to blackmail them. All of us are going through a process of sanctification. I will not be perfect 100%. But do not discredit my decision just because it does not sit well with you. So when she pulled the faith card, I went silent. And I remember I told her, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. If you keep my salary, it's fine. I can go. And she was like, yeah, you can go. So I left. So here I'm working, I am working, and I'm saying at least I'm not gonna suffer. So it's the end of, we are coming towards the end of April. April has come to an end. And now we are starting May. May 5th, nothing. May 10th, nothing. May 15th, nothing. I have a child I'm supposed to be paying school fees for. I was living with my little sister, so parental duties. I have rent. I had to leave the salary, so basically you get. I have medication to buy. And by that time, it usually comes to about 10 to 15K per month. It depends, Kenyan shillings. And tests, out of pocket, no insurance. Okay? And nothing. And my rent was not cheap. It was not cheap at all. And then now I start hearing stories. And what did I do? I am understanding, of course. God brought me here. So what do you mean he can bring me here to suffer? What has struck you so far? You do not want to miss part 2 of this story. Please subscribe. And I want to see your feedback. Have you ever worked for someone diligently, showed up diligently and never been paid? Or have you worked for someone who pays you when they feel like? As if you're surviving on stones, no disrespect intended. Have you worked for someone? And then, or are you currently working for someone and they're not paying you, but that you're showing up again and again? Why? Because you're buying hope. You think that at least it's gonna be okay. And if God has sent me here, then I'll be fine. Have you? See you on the next episode. Until next time, bisous.